Are you an empath who has a really hard time setting boundaries? Do you constantly feel kind of mired in other people's energies? When you walk into a room, is it really difficult to be there sometimes? You just want to leave. In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest things you can actually do to help you energetically in regards to your physical body. My name is Adam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please take a second to like and subscribe. Before we get started, I just want to let you know I'm doing some more free breakthrough calls. There's a link pinned in the comment section below. These are really awesome calls where we get on Zoom, we go over your vision for your life, what it is that you want to create, what you're excited about, and then the things that are coming up that are stopping you and blocking you from really manifesting these visions. And then some things you can do, some steps you can take to align with it so you can actually create a life that's very fulfilling. Now, I have spent a lot of time in many videos talking about the importance of somatic healing. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today, but I'm going to be giving you like the biggest thing you can actually do for that. Before I get into that, I'm going to give you a couple other things. So when you're empathic, it's very, very difficult. It's just difficult on many levels because you're constantly feeling everything that's going on around you. You walk into a room, trust me, I get it. When I started waking up, many, many years ago, I found that I couldn't go anywhere anymore at all. I would walk into a supermarket, I would feel like absolute shit. I'd walk out of the supermarket with all these thoughts and feelings that weren't mine. Not that I didn't have my own negative stuff, but it would get amplified times like 1,000 because I had somehow linked to a terrible energetic, an entity, whatever you want to call it, in the supermarket, and everything just went downhill. It started to spiral downhill. And I had to learn a lot of different ways to kind of deal with this super hypersensitivity. And one of them was energy clearing, energy work, and I've covered that in other videos. I'll cover that more in the future. But the other part of it was really getting in touch with my nervous system. It was learning how to discharge the fight, flight, freeze responses in my body that had been pent up since childhood. And this is so critical when it comes to boundaries. So what are some things that you can do somatically to really learn how to set boundaries, and why do these things work? Well, one of the most important things that you can do is simply sensing your actual somatic sensations. We have this fear that because we're so sensitive, because we take on all of this energy, that kind of anywhere we go, we're going to be overloaded. And what we tend to do, and this comes from childhood as well, is we dissociate. So we sort of leave our body. We come up into our heads. We try to go up into the upper chakras. We try to leave planet Earth altogether. And we think this is a solution because as children, it was. If you went through a major trauma, if you were beaten or molested or any of the things that so many spiritual people have gone through, at the time, you wouldn't have been able to handle all of that pain somatically, so you kind of had to check out. The problem now, though, is you're still sort of running that pattern and that trauma, and you're constantly checking out, checking out, checking out. And what happens when you do that is, if your energy is not in your body, other energies will come into your body. So one of the most important things to know is the more you start to sense where you are, where your body is, your feet on the floor, just the feeling of like your hands just moving, your fingers moving, different places in your body. Just start to check in when you walk into a supermarket or when you walk into, a public event or a social gathering. Like, how is your body responding? Do you feel restricted? Do you get tight? Do you notice your energy kind of come up into your head and just spin around endlessly? As you just begin to work with sensing what's going on in your nervous system, you will slowly begin to come back down into your body. And when you come back down into your body, you are then able to begin to set boundaries just naturally. Because two energies can't occupy the same space at the same time. Again, if you're not in there, something else comes in. But if you're in there, it creates this major buffer against all the other frequencies that are around you. I'm not saying it's a magical cure. You know, there are super negative environments that you just want to leave if you can. There are other tools you can use, but this is the biggest thing. The biggest thing is just embodying. Something else that you can do to really begin to set boundaries, I've covered this before, is really learn to say no. So many of us as empaths, you know, we want to make everybody happy. You know, we kind of people please. We don't want to hurt other people's feelings. We're used to not having our sovereign free will choice in a situation because as a child you probably didn't. So you've gotten into the habit of saying yes out of fear that you'll get into trouble, or you know, you'll make someone else disappointed, or they won't like you. And if you can't say no, your body doesn't feel safe. Your body simply will not feel safe, because if you can't say no vocally, if you can't say no to people you don't want in your space, if you can't say no to a situation you don't want to engage in, then you're just simply energetically allowing everything to come at you, and your body will feel that, and it will constantly feel threatened. So when you start to say no, you start to say no to the things that you don't want to do. You start to say no to the people that aren't right for you. You say no to jobs that you know are not right for you to take. You start to create a boundary in your nervous system, and your nervous system starts to calm down. And always do this, if you can, connected somatically. You can practice saying no on your own. You can just sit in your room, or you know, your apartment or your house, or even the bathroom at work, and kind of put your feet down on the floor. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel yourself really kind of almost like grinding into the earth in a way. I know that's a little intense, but sometimes you have to do that. And just bring to mind whatever person or situation that you don't want, and literally practice from your core, from your diaphragm and from your dantian, saying no, 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 no. As you do that, you start to create a boundary energetically for yourself. And then you can say yes from a place of free will and choice. If you can't say no, your yeses mean nothing, because you're not saying yes because you're choosing to say yes. You're just saying yes because that's what you always say. Okay, now the biggest thing, or one of the absolute biggest things that you can do as an empath to strengthen your boundaries is physicality. This is something that a lot of spiritual people don't like to do. They don't like to exercise, because when we're very spiritual and empathic and intuitive, we like to kind of float around in the higher realms because it feels good. We don't like the day-to-day grind and the physical actions in the nervous system because it doesn't feel good. But it only doesn't feel good at first. Seriously, strenuous exercise, weightlifting, dancing in a way that builds muscles that you didn't have before will make all of the difference in the world, because what's happening is your body currently has, it's like an electrical machine is what it is, and it can only take a certain amount of voltage. And if you're an empath, you probably have a very high level of voltage on an energetic soul level. But if your body is so trained to dissociate, those like little tiny muscles and the capacity of the cells, if you think of like a light bulb, can't hold you. So your cells right now are like a 40-watt bulb, and maybe they're trying to bring in 1,000 watts of energy, and they just sort of short circuit and kick you out. The way that you rectify this is you take care of yourself, eat healthy, yes, breath work, amazing, but building the muscles, building the physical muscles by doing strenuous exercise will start to increase the capacity of your cells, of your nervous system. It will open up the channels, the meridians, the chakras, so that energy can move through you. And as that happens, then you create a major buffer. Like for me, for example, I started taking Pilates, like intense, like workout machine Pilates at the beginning of the year, and it has been an absolute life changer, like on so many levels, because I noticed that like I mean, I always kind of knew this, but my spine didn't develop correctly because of how I was born. My jaw was locked in place. My diaphragm was locked. So it took me years to slowly, bit by bit, work myself into my nervous system. But the Pilates is like strengthening my legs and all these tiny muscles that I didn't even know I had. And it's increasing my capacity for energy. This is a thing that they do like in martial arts training, the old kung fu masters. I've talked about this before, but you know, a new like student would show up at a master's, place of training and want to immediately start doing like katas or fighting. And sometimes what they would do is just have them stand in like horse stance, which is with your legs spread, like in a squat, for hours at a time, which is excruciating. But once they built that structure, life in 3D started to become easy. The reason life's so hard for most empaths is because your body is weak. Your body is physically weak. So like feeling the sensations is important, learning to say no is important, but really building the structure to hold your spirit is like of utmost importance. So meditation is good, but meditation just keeps you spinning around in the etheric realms. I'm not saying not to do meditation, but find movement meditations, do Tai Chi, do dancing, and do things that are even harder than that, like work out. Seriously. It's crucial. Anyway, let me know how this goes. Let me know if you have any questions, revelations, breakthroughs, insights. I have a free energy clearing in the description below if you'd like to download it. Other than that, thank you so very much for your time. I appreciate it, and I will see you next time.